Hi guys! So today I'm going to show you what's in your DIY kit for the Hocus Pocus, and I'll show you how to use the things that are in there, as well as how to get started in getting ready to decorate your cookies. So let's take a look what's in your box. Some of you ordered half dozen, some of you ordered dozens, so obviously cookie amounts will depend on which one you ordered. But other than that, everything should be the same. Okay, so you're going to have in your box some sprinkles, business card and information about cookies if you, and ingredients. You're going to have all of your icing. So you should have a purple and orange, a brown, like face color, cream, tan, light tan, kind of a gold yellow. It's not really bright yellow. A little bit of red and a black, a bag of black. Okay, so with that, that is the icing. You're going to have a few extra bags, and I'll talk about what those are for here in a minute. And then you have your cookies, and these cookies are heat sealed. So if you are not going to decorate your cookies in the next, let's say, a week to 2 weeks, I would go ahead and put these in the freezer, and you can just put those in the freezer. They'll last for a few months in the freezer. They'll honestly be fine in these bags for a few, like 3 or 4 weeks, but I find the freezer's much better to use, so you can freeze those. The icing itself is shelf stable, so there's no need to do anything to it. The only thing that will happen is your icing will become hard where your icing bag just sits. So basically the powdered sugar that's in the icing will just dissolve towards the bottom. So you definitely want to kind of turn them or massage them every few days, but there's no need to refrigerate or freeze your icing at all. A couple other things that you're going to need: a pair of scissors and a toothpick of some sort. So this is a scribe that I use, but a toothpick works just fine. And you might need a paper towel. Okay, so those are most of the things that we need, and the next video I'm going to show you how to cut your bags and what the extra bags are for. Alright, so let's talk about how to cut our bags, because if you cut it too big, you're not going to be very happy with the way that your cookie turns out, and you'll probably have runoff on the edge. So really take your time and cut the bags. If you have kids doing these, you can definitely help them out by doing the outlining of the cookie first and then cutting the bag a little bit bigger for them to use to flood. And yeah, you'll see that in the following tutorials about what outlining and what flood means. It's pretty simple. Outlining is just outlining the cookie, flooding is flooding in the middle. So on each bag you will have a seam. So the seam runs right down the middle of the bag. And that seam is kind of important because I want it to stay in the middle of my point. I feel like you get a straighter cut when you have it that way. And I try to hold my bag so the icing all falls to the bottom, and I'm not cutting through icing, because then again, you're not going to get a straight across cut, which is what we're looking for. I use a click pin or a push pin to kind of help me. So hoping this all shows up. I just tend to make the pen extend out to where if I wanted to write something I could, and I match up that tip to the tip of my bag, and then I can unclick it, and that difference is going to be what you're going to cut. So I can kind of hold it, but you definitely want to try to make your bag and to cut it straight. You don't want to cut it at an angle, because it's going to run out or come out of your bag in like a swirl form, and you don't really want that. Okay, so this is just for reference. You just start small and work your way up. Now you can practice piping on paper towels, or even on a plate, or even on the table, and you can just scrape it up. You can practice on your cookies as well, but you want to hold your bag with the knot towards where your thumb and your hand meet, and you want to wrap the rest of your hand around. I tend to tuck my pinky under. It just gives me a little bit more control, but you want to use you want your hand to be able to use that ball of icing to help push it out. Try not to hold your piping bag like a pencil. It's not a pencil, and it's not going to act like a pencil. So the more you can get, into whatever feels more comfortable to you, will be better. Notice the icing is always coming out regardless of whether I'm squeezing or not. So when you go to outline, you want to squeeze and then lift up on your bag and let the icing fall out. The faster you pull, the more that it's going to stretch the icing and it's going to break. The slower that you pull, the more that your icing is going to ripple, kind of like that. So really you have to learn, and you're practicing how to control your squeeze and how fast you pull. And the more you practice it, the better you will get, and the more uniform outline you will get. And this is just for outlining. Flooding is just getting all the icing into that. So really outline. But it helps sometimes to just practice a little bit to kind of find where is that point where maybe I went too fast, maybe I went too slow. But it's always nice to kind of practice a little bit. You want to cut all of your bags to the same thickness. You can outline all of your cookies and then recut your bags to flood them a little faster. That is one time saver. In the next video, I'm going to show you why you would want to use the 2 extra bags. Okay, so in your kit, you got 2 extra bags, right? So these extra bags are going to help you when it comes to detailing your cookies. Now, after you do your cookies, if you don't really care, you're just, kids are having fun and this is not a big deal, then these extra bags you can use some other time. But if you're looking to really get your cookies to look like this one, or like the ones that are in the tutorials following this, then using the extra bags will help. So once you get all of your cookies outlined and flooded, and they are all, you know, ready to be detailed, then you can take 2 colors and you can put them into different bags. So my suggestion and what I planned on for these cookies was to rebag your black and to rebag your orange. Those are really the only 2 that you need to rebag. Your purple and your red, well, actually just your red. Your red needs to be cut really small for the lips. So cut your red really small, but the purple can be cut however you're just doing the ribbons in her hair. So orange and black are the 2 that I would say you need to rebag after you've done all of your base work and you're ready to detail. So in order to rebag very quickly, I'm just going to kind of push the excess icing down towards the bottom. So you can see that I have this like clear, you know, part where there's no icing. And I'm going to take my pair of scissors, have your other bag ready, and I'm going to cut that off. So now I have this like pretty big hole for the icing to come out, right? So I'm going to take my other bag, my new bag, and open it up. And basically I'm going to stick this one, cut side down, into that part of the bag. And then you can just use your hand or your fingers or whatever, and you just want to kind of squeegee it as you pull the other bag out. So now you have all the icing out of this old bag, and now you have all the icing into this new bag that you can cut really small. And then you can tie it. Okay, so now you have a new bag of black that you can again find the seam, and this time you can cut it very small so that you can make the little eyelashes on your witches so that your orange can do the little details on her hair. All right, so this is the first cookie that will help you gain confidence and teach you about outlining and flooding. So I'm going to make some whiskers, and then I'm going to take my black and I'm going to outline the entire shape of the cat, just not around those whiskers. And then I'm going to use the same color black and I'm going to flood this in. Now I used a different color for the video purposes just so that you could see it a little bit better. And this is also sped up quite a bit. So you want to flood every space. Don't leave any holes, no gaps, no nothing. You can shake a little bit if you want to. I'm going to sprinkle some glitter on because I have it. And then I'm going to wait 30 minutes. After that 30 minutes, I'm going to put a small purple X where the nose is. Super simple, but so cute. All right, let's make Winifred Sanderson. So first we're going to do her face using that cream colored icing. This is just regular glaze. And then I'm going to let it dry for 30 minutes. I really like to over exaggerate those corners or those kind of pullouts. And now I'm just going to use the orange to create half of her hair, and then I'll wait 30 minutes. And now I'm going to wait 30 minutes and create the other half. This again will give definition between her face and between the two halves of her hair. Again, you do not have to do the waiting 30 minutes. You can definitely just go right in. There's no reason why you can't. That just creates some definition for me. So now I'm going to create her eyes first using my black, and I'm going to give her some little highlights in her eyes. If you don't have white, then you can just use that flesh colored again. And then you can make her little nose. And I'm going to give her her mouth. I'm going to make her top lip and bottom lip pretty, bigger than I had the other girls. And here I've just waited 30 minutes, and now I'm going to go in and create some curls, just some swiggle lines. And we're going to give her on the other side kind of the opposite direction, some curls. Again, just using regular glaze, waiting 30 minutes. And now I'm going to give her her teeth. Signature Winifred. So let's go ahead and make our Merry Witch cookie. So we're going to do her face first. So I outlined and flooded using that cream face icing. And then as soon as I get this done, I'm going to wait 30 minutes. And then I'm going to come back with my black. And you can use detail glaze if you want to, if you have it. If you don't, just use regular glaze, outline it, and then flood it in. Obviously flooding with just regular glaze. I find that if you wait that 30 minutes in between doing these two sections, it allows you to see definition, but it also helps with bleed. So it's not totally avoidable. You probably will have some bleed. Black tends to always bleed, but it helps a little bit. And there I just squirted with some glitter just for fun. And now I'm going to make her eyelashes and her eye, and then I'm going to basically do that again on the other side. This is just another way to do them to help them be equal. You can definitely do them in whatever order. If you want to do the eyelashes first and then the eyeballs, totally up to you. And then I'm going to make her little nose, and I'm going to give her her top lip, but I'm going to wait a little while, probably 30 minutes, to do her bottom lip. Since her bottom lip is different, that's her signature smile. So I'm going to go ahead and give her some highlights in her eyes. And I'm going to use my purple to create the ribbons in her hair. Because this is dried for 30 minutes, this will stand up. And you can kind of cut off any that's extra. That's so cute. And then I'm going to give her her signature bottom lip, just kind of curving it out a little bit. She's one of my favorite sisters. Let's make Sarah Sanderson. We're going to outline and flood her face first. This is just a nice cream color. I believe I used cream from Pro Gel, the color cream from Pro Gel. And then I'm going to do one part of her hair. I did let that face dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to do this one part of her hair and let that dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'll come back and do the other side. This just gives me definition between each of these parts. So her face looks different than from her hair, and even just waiting that 30 minutes definitely helps give your cookies some definition without having to use detail glaze to do that. And once I get that done, her face is dry enough that I can go ahead and add her eyes and her eyelashes and her little mouth. So do the eyelashes first. I'm gonna pop on some bigger eyes, and then I'm gonna do her sweet little mouth. And she's the easiest one of all of them. Oh yeah, added highlights, but she's the easiest one because she really doesn't have a whole lot, but she always turns out really cute. All right, so let's make the book. So we're going to outline the entire book with black, and then I'm going to create a binding on the side. So I'm just going to leave a little space and do another outline. Then I'm going to flood it with brown. So you're going to flood the whole book with brown, and then you're going to wait 30 minutes, and then you can flood that binding also. In some of the kits, I forgot to put a eyeball. So please, if you did not get an eyeball, don't worry. Just use the flesh color as the eyeball and then a dot of black on top of it. So I'm going to put some black on. I'm going to push that eyeball in, and then I'm going to create the kind of stitching on the book. Again, if you did not get an eyeball, just drop in some flesh color and then put a little dot of black on top of that. And this is your book to match the set.